Denise, Denise, it's Denise, it's Denise, it's Denise, Denise, it's a podcast party, it's a podcast party, it's a podcast party. I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. I'm your host, Denise Salcedo, and today we are going to be chatting about the February 15th edition of WWE NXT Vengeance Day. And I gotta start off by saying that NXT is officially starting to shape up. We had a really good show today that I thought each and every single match that we saw today was pretty good. There was probably one match that wasn't all that great, but aside from that, I thought that all the matches were really good here tonight. So the show is starting to shape up. We got a lot of cool things that we're going to be discussing here today. So let's go ahead and jump right in. But before I do get started, just a friendly reminder that this is an interactive show. So at any point, if you guys want to send in any sort of comments, you are more than welcome to. I will be reading people's thoughts and opinions as we go throughout the show. This is a very interactive podcast. On top of that, if you have any questions, if you want to send in your statements or your opinions and you want to make sure that it gets read on the stream, you can go ahead and send in a super chat. If you do send in a super chat, you get your comments read on here. 100% guaranteed. And on top of that, I get to keep 100% of all the proceeds from all super chats. So it does help me out tremendously. But let's go ahead and jump right into the show, everybody, because we kick things off with the Weaponized Steel Cage Match between Pete Dunne and Tony D'Angelo. So this has been a pretty interesting feud that we've been getting between both of these guys. Tony D'Angelo, he's a guy that doesn't mess around, comes from the streets, etc. And then we got Pete Dunne, who is essentially, this badass. He's a badass in his own right. So it's two guys that you're kind of like, all right, these are legit two guys that when they get in there, they're going to find some way to kick some butt. So I really like that they did the stipulation of the steel cage match, but on top of that they actually added the weapons aspect of it. So for me, I thought that what they did here today with the weaponized steel cage match, it was a win. And the reason why it was a win was because from top to bottom, start to finish, we essentially had all action. There was no breaks, no rest holds, no periods of boringness or anything like that. And it shouldn't be that way when you're in a weaponized steel cage match. So for me, I thought that they found a lot of different creative ways to essentially make this match just a little bit more fun. And I want to talk about those things because I think that they need to be mentioned. One of my favorite parts in this entire match was literally, wasn't just a smacking of people, getting hit by the weapons. There was a moment where Pete Dunne literally goes super savage, and we know he always goes after the fingers and just smashes the fingers of Tony D'Angelo with the toolbox. But my favorite part of this entire match was when Tony D'Angelo tied the hands of Pete Dunne behind him, and Pete Dunne wrestled this match without the use of his hands for quite a bit. And there was a point in which he managed that even though his hands were tied behind his back, he was able to still stretch himself out enough to essentially get a guillotine choke on Tony D'Angelo. And so Tony D'Angelo, having been the one that tied his hands together to get out of it, he essentially had to cut open the little straps that he used to tie up Pete Dunne. So I kind of thought that was pretty freaking awesome, because in turn it backfired on him. Tying Pete Dunne's hands behind his back, it backfired on him, and he had to find a way to get out of it. So for me, I thought that kind of earns major brownie points, because I thought that was a very, very entertaining. After this, we saw a bunch of awesome stuff, including Tony D'Angelo being put through a table. That was fun. We see the bitter end, and I thought that it was over after Pete Dunne hit the bitter end, but he gets a near fall. After this, he goes in, gets this crowbar, that was in between the cage doors and uses it on Tony D'Angelo, hits another bitter end, gets the win in this match. So for me, this was a good way to open the show, and I loved it, guys. I don't want to say, but this also kind of made me feel a little bit more hope for Pete Dunne, because one of the things that we were talking about when this whole NXT 2.0 thing started was, man, some of these guys aren't fitting into the NXT brands, the new version of NXT brands. What the hell is going to happen? And so, like, I was kind of worried about Pete Dunne for a while, because Pete Dunne was kind of the guy where I'm like, this guy should have been NXT champion like 50 years ago. Okay, let's be real. There was long overdue for him to be NXT champion. So now that like they had him win against Tony D'Angelo, I have more hope for Pete Dunne here on the new NXT 2.0. So thoughts for those of you who watched it, go ahead and send in your thoughts. I'm going to pull a couple of these in here right now and see what you guys are saying here. Let's see what we got. We got some interesting thoughts here. This one is from Devin, who says, okay, I am gathering that this was one of the best NXT 2.0 shows thus far. Yeah, it was a really good show, like top to bottom. Like I said, like my least favorite match was probably the women's match, but even then, like it wasn't anything like terrible or anything bad whatsoever. It was just a match. But like every other card, every other match that was promoted on this card, definitely just they did well. I loved it. All right, let's go ahead and see what people are saying in regards to this match. We got a comment from Drew Scott, who says the weaponized steel cage was a much better concept compared to the Asylum match a few years back. We got people saying, let's see. We got people asking about Escobar and why he isn't getting the belt just yet. We'll talk about that, because there was a moment, a split moment in which I thought they were going to pull the plug and actually do it. I got my hopes, they skyrocketed, and it didn't happen. But either way, it was still a pretty good stuff here. Let's see what we got here. This is a comment from Zeno Hour, who says this was a fun, fast-paced cage match. Justin Martin says this was a fun show, start to finish, and some great action throughout. Tonight showed the peak of what this NXT can be. It really did. And like I've been telling people, and I even feel just like, I feel like I've been holding back, honestly, on some of my tweets for NXT, and like, it's so hard to go out there and tweet some opinions, because you guys know there's so much that you can't say on Twitter, because no matter what you say, people are going to get mad. But I've really been needing to say that NXT 2.0 is finally shaping up, but because like nobody is watching besides like me and like whoever else is watching this show, I feel like nobody is talking about it. So I'm at least going to use this show to let you guys know that there are weeks where it's pretty good, and today was definitely one of those weeks there. All right, let's go ahead and get these comments in here. This is a comment from Danny the Red over from Twitch, who says, NXT 2.0 special episodes haven't disappointed, to be honest. No, they haven't. They really haven't, actually. All right, let's go ahead and continue on, everybody, and let's see what else we got to say. Cadillac Carson says, FYI, Denise, feel free to say bro anytime. Oh, man, I don't even want to get started with that. Sometimes I wish, I kid you not, for everybody watching this show, sometimes I wish you guys had access to my mentions and to my DMs and to my comments. And I wish you guys were seeing a lot of the comments that I get, because I think that you would be blown away by some of the comments that I get. And I don't share all of them, because then I would just get incredibly annoying. But I do share the ones that kind of just like make me go, oh man, dude, I thought I saw it all. But every now and then I got to share some of this that I have to face every day on social media. All right, let's go ahead and continue on, everybody, and let's get this going some more. All righty, let's see what we got here. After this opening match, we had a pretty nice little vignette or promo. I don't even know, what do we call this? Videos. All right, let's just call it videos. I don't know what to call this stuff, everybody. Raquel Gonzalez and Cora Jade, as we all know, they are now going to be a team after Cora Jade took a beating to Raquel and essentially earned her respect. And so now they're going to be teaming up together for the Women's Dusty Cup, which is beginning next week. All right, cool. So they did this fun little skit where they have Raquel Gonzalez essentially showing up to Cora Jade's house at 5 in the morning. Poor girl is knocked out, having a good time, in a deep sleep, in a deep slumber. And Raquel Gonzalez basically says, like, get your ass up. We're going to go train right now. So they start training. They're at the PC. They go to the park. She doesn't even let her eat at one point, which was really savage, Raquel, really savage. She makes Cora Jade do all of these workouts. She's running in the park, carrying Raquel. Cora Jade, who is kind of a small girl, she's running in the park, carrying Raquel Gonzalez on her body. I liked this. I thought this was harmless, a fun little way to say, hey, these girls are preparing for this tournament. Cool. I liked this. I want to see more stuff like this, please. More stuff like this. This was good stuff. Jeremy Jimenez says Cora got put through the Raquel boot camp. Yeah, dude. Like, I'm sorry, but there ain't no chance in hell that I would ever be besties with Raquel. She's waking up and she's got a great physique. So you know that she's busting her butt in the gym. So, like, even though this was just a thing on NXT, I wouldn't be surprised if homegirls waking up at 5 in the morning to get a workout in. Like, it ain't happening, okay? I'm more of a Wendy Chu type of girl. Ain't waking up to go work out whatsoever. Thank you, Joel Fernandez. Montage? No, it can't be a montage either. I think a montage is more of like, a variety of, let's just call it a skit. I don't know. Can't think right now, guys. I can't think. All right, let's go ahead and continue on from this. We essentially got the NXT Women's Championship match, the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship match, excuse me. And this was JC Jane and Gigi Dolan, Toxic Attraction, defending their titles against Indi Hartwell and Persia Pirotta. I was thinking Indi and Persia at the exact same time and just decided to go with India. It happens. Anyways, so all I gotta say here is, first of all, one of my favorite things to do that just started today was when Gigi Dolan and JC Jane came out and did their entrance, and they're, walking out and they're being all sexy because, it's like that on NXT and they're all gorgeous and all of that good stuff. My favorite thing is to watch the guys that are on the aisleway of the entrance to see if they stare at the girls as they pass by. And I caught two dudes. It was my favorite thing in the world, is to catch the dudes look at the girls as they pass by them. There was one guy, was so funny. He was like looking at Gigi and was just like turning his whole head around. It was my favorite thing. I like to watch the guys watch the girls. That's what I do for fun. It's how I get my kicks. Wade Barrett says that he sent 100 roses to Toxic Attraction. That's been his whole thing, is that he's I don't want to use the S word. What's another word for a guy that's, flirtatious for a girl? I don't know what another word for that is. I don't know. But anyways, Wade Barrett has been after Toxic Attraction and Mandy Rose and all those girls for quite a bit now. So that was kind of funny, but whatever. Just continues on with the gimmick of all of that. But let's talk about the actual match itself. I think that the reason that I personally really liked this match, and really the only thing that I want to talk about, because there was no way in hell that I was expecting Indi and Persia to essentially come out as champions. Like, that wasn't going to happen, because their girls are the Toxic Attraction girls. Like, they are NXT 2.0. They are the entire marketing of NXT 2.0. So we all knew they weren't going to be losing the gold, or aren't going to be losing the gold anytime soon. But let's talk about Persia, because I feel like Persia is somebody that we really didn't see coming. And by that, I mean, is like, no one was like ever really talking about Persia from what I recall. Like, I don't recall like really talking about her in the sense where she's not somebody that was like hated or disliked on the roster. No, she wasn't that person. But she also, really wasn't like somebody that was, over with the fans. She didn't really have a story. There really wasn't much going on with Persia. But since like we've been seeing more of her lately, I feel like she has kind of came out of nowhere where like in her matches, you pay attention to what she does. She manages to grab your attention. And there are little things that she does now where I'm like, you know what? Like, I wasn't talking about you. I wasn't noticing you, but you grabbed my attention successfully. And I felt like she was the standout of this match today. There was a moment where, as she gets really fired up, she suplexes Gigi. Right after that, she goes after both the girls, picks them both up, shows her strength during this match. I really liked that. And so we end up seeing JC Jane and Gigi Dolan essentially retain their titles. Fine, whatever. But afterwards, I'm wondering to myself, like, okay, are they going to break up are they going to break up Indi and Persia? Because I don't think that they should necessarily break them up just because we don't really have that many actual teams on NXT for the women's division. We don't really have a team. They're still, pretty green. They kind of need each other to, protect each other and whatnot, and just, hide some of those flaws that they might have. They work well together as a team. So I don't think that it's like time for them to break up just yet. Like, I want to see them more, but I already feel like they're heading in that direction, especially because immediately after, we've already been noticing that Persia has sort of been irritated by Indi Hartwell and irritated by her relationship with Dexter Lumis. And backstage, we see Indi and Dexter like hugging it out, and Persia has like this like really irritated look on her face. And then out of nowhere, Duke Hudson comes out, and I don't know what the hell he says to Persia, because clearly I'm deaf or he doesn't talk that loud, and I could not make out any of the words that he was saying. So I was just like, what'd he say? I rewinded it twice and I couldn't make out what he was saying. So he said something to Persia. She took his hand and they walked out. Now, last week, we were talking about how this was going to be an affair angle. That's where I thought they were going. They were going to make it seem like Indi was having an affair. From the looks of it, now I'm sensing the vibe that Persia may be the one setting this up. I don't know. If I would have actually heard what he said, I might have been able to actually explain this a little bit better. But regardless, I have more interest in Pirotta, and what they're doing with her right now. So let's get some thoughts, guys. How did you guys feel about this? Let's see what people are saying. Let's see. This one is from Darth Stevens, who says, Persia is really starting to shine, and Indi is my favorite in NXT. I think that Indi Hartwell, she got a lot of attention when she was doing the whole, the thing with the way, when she had that whole, falling in love with the stalker storyline with Dexter Lumis. She had the big wedding, and out of everybody from the way, she really benefited from all of that. Like, she got a lot of attention, and people started to know her a lot more. But ever since that, they haven't really done anything there with Indi Hartwell, so it's kind of gotten down a little bit, where I feel like she's sort of being outshined now by Persia. To me, Persia is outshining her, especially when they're teaming together, in this match. And obviously, the way that it was formatted and all of that, I feel like that was what was supposed to happen. But regardless, I still feel like Persia's outshining her just a bit right now as a team. And let's see what we got here. This is, let's get some more comments in here. We got people standing for Index forever. I don't even care about Index anymore. Now they're just a boring old married couple. They got absolutely nothing going on. Nothing. Joel Fernandez says Persia just wants her best friend back to focus on winning the titles rather than bringing her relationship at work. This is true. Indi Hartwell did cost them plenty of matches, in the past, because she was distracted by her relationship issues with Dexter Lumis. And like I said, just a boring old married couple now. The old ball and chain. Thank you so much, Joelle, for sending that in here. Matt Hensley says, I just went back to watch the entrance again, and one of the guys next must have snapped with how quickly he turned at Gigi as she walked by. I told you, pay attention to that, guys. Like, when they're walking out, pay attention to it. It's pretty freaking hilarious. I love it. People watching is my thing, man. I love to observe, like, in everyday life. You'll notice this. Like, watch guys, watch other girls. You'll see it. It's great stuff. Well, I hate it, but it's great stuff to watch when I'm just being, nosy. Uh, let's see what we got here. All right, let's go ahead and continue on actually, and because we got plenty more to talk about besides this. But before I do move on, everybody, if you are new to this show, if you're watching, don't be shy. I do not bite. You are more than welcome to go ahead and take part in the chat. I do pick out people's comments as I go throughout this show. So if you want your voice to be heard, take part. And I will try to pick you. If you have some brilliant comment, I'll try to pull it out here on the stream. But on top of that, I will be back here tomorrow night for AEW Dynamite. We got a pretty loaded show. It's been a pretty crazy year in wrestling so far, and the last couple of hours have been even crazier than before with all of the news that has been surrounding AEW and Cody Rhodes and all of that good stuff. So make sure you guys are here tomorrow for AEW Dynamite coverage, and then I will be back on Friday to talk about SmackDown and Rampage. Rampage is going on at a special start time this week. It's airing before SmackDown, so this time we'll be watching Rampage and then SmackDown. Nice little refreshing there. Spice up our Friday nights, everybody. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and move on, everybody. After this, we got Wendy Chu. She is asking Dakota Kai to team up with her, and Dakota Kai apparently has multiple personalities, and she's having like 10 different conversations with herself. And Wendy Chu's just like, all right, dude, whatever. I will say this. I feel like the last couple of times that we've had the women's Dusty tournament, I feel like they kind of just paired up people randomly. I like that this time around, and if they did this last time, I completely forgot, but I like that this time they are actually showing the women trying to find partners, and there's little stories and little skits that they're doing where it's like, oh, this is why they're teaming up together, this is how they ended up being on the same page. I like that. I like that there's a little effort being put into the stories with these women versus just pairing random women up together and us just having to go with the flow of it, because there's no real actual women's official tag teams other than like Casey and Kaden, who we like never see wrestle, Toxic Attraction, and Indi and Persia. Those are like the only actual women's teams on the show. So I like that they're actually doing this. All right, let's get some thoughts, everybody, and let's see. If not, I'm just going to go ahead and move on. All right, let's move on, everybody. Good news. I have phenomenal news for everybody. So if you've been watching my NXT post shows, I admitted last week that I always forget which one is Josh Briggs and which one is Jensen. I always forget which one's which. I finally wrote it down. Briggs has the beard. Jensen has the mustache. Good news, everyone. I can now move on confidently with this review. All right, so Bex, they do another skit where they're basically following up on the date that Jensen had. I think the date that he had was with Casey or something, but he accidentally asked both girls out last time. Whatever. The point is that he got friend zoned, so we got another friend zone storyline happening here. But it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense. Whatever. It makes sense for NXT because they're doing the whole, flirtatious storylines, and everybody has a crush on everybody. So this storyline makes sense for the NXT worlds that we are living in. And he basically gets friend zoned. She pays for her. I believe it was Casey. She pays for herself. She tells him she likes him like a brother. Ouch. If you've ever been told you've been liked like a brother, I am very sorry. Must be terrible. Must be terrible. Oh, thank you. Someone says he's after Kaden Carter. Jesus, he's after one of them. Casey, Kaden, probably both of them. I don't even know anymore, guys. Point is, he went on a date and he was friend zoned. That's all we need to know. Let's go ahead and move on, everybody. So let's get into Ellie Knight and Grayson Waller. So let's get caught up here with what's going on. This whole Ellie Knight, Grayson Waller thing started way back. I'm talking Halloween Havoc way back. They were doing the whole who is going to be the Halloween Havoc host. And Grayson Waller lost that. Ellie Knight won. Ellie Knight got stuck in traffic. Grayson Waller ended up taking his position, but then Ellie Knight came back, and they've kind of had a little bit of feud going on ever since. It was put to a stop. It was paused. It was over, and Grayson Waller started feuding with AJ Styles. Once this whole thing finished off with AJ Styles, he reintroduces Ellie Knight into the fold of things. And so now we're once again back on this Ellie Knight, Grayson Waller feud. And basically this whole thing is that Grayson Waller put out a restraining order on Ellie Knight. And apparently the rules here are differently than in Australia. Now, I've never put out a restraining order on anybody, so I cannot tell you the intricate details about what entails in a restraining order. I legitimately do not know, other than the fact that I actually thought this. Okay, whatever. Let's get into this. So here's what went down. Basically, the restraining order backfires on Grayson Waller because he brings out the cops. He wants Ellie Knight to get arrested, and Grayson Waller wants him arrested for putting his hands on him, but Ellie Knight says, no, I read this document and you can't put your hands on me. And he basically shows footage in which Grayson Waller put his hands on him. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. And so the restraining order thing, it's removed off the table. The cops leave. They don't arrest anybody, and Grayson Waller Ellie Knight attacks Grayson Waller, and that's pretty much what happened here. Oh yeah, and Sangha comes out. And Ellie Knight throws Grayson Waller onto Sangha. And we're going to get their match next week. That's pretty much it, guys. I don't know what else to say. The Grayson Waller Ellie Knight storyline, I get why they're doing this, because these are both guys that I think are pretty good on the mic in terms of they can go. They both got these like cocky, unlikable personalities, so they kind of mesh in that way together. So it's definitely improved. I will say that it's improved from what we were getting earlier on during the Halloween Havoc time period to what we're getting now. So like, I was completely hating this when this kind of started off again. And even though it's probably not my favorite thing in the world, hasn't been too terrible. It was fine. It was okay. And Pile Driver Finisher says Domestic Dispute 2.0. That's what it was. The cops were just standing there too. And they were like, the cops in quotations. They were just like, they just had the I don't give a fuck face look. That's literally, they were just standing there like, womp womp. I don't know what a cop face would be like, but they didn't have any interest in what was happening there. So that's all there is to that. There isn't anything else to say. Cadillac Carson says, I think the segment tonight with Waller and Knight would have been better if Waller got arrested after Knight's footage was shown. That's true. They could have done that because in turn, he violated the restraining order as well, but then it kind of cancels them both out because they both essentially violated the restraining order. I don't know. Again, I have nothing else to add about this. We got a quick backstage promo. Tommaso Ciampa basically says that he's pissed off that Dolph Ziggler thinks that he's better than him and says he will be watching the main event. We'll talk more about Tommaso Ciampa once we actually get to the main event. All right, and let's go ahead and move on. And let's go ahead and get into the NXT North American Championship, Carmelo Hayes versus Cameron Grimes. So from the very beginning that this match was made, I immediately told you guys, this match is going to be good. I knew it right off the bat. Carmelo Hayes and Cameron Grimes was going to be a good match, and it did not disappoint. Now, I'm going to start off by saying, like, I don't want to go into, like, everything that went down in this match, but I will say this though, because this was very enjoyable and it did progressively just get like more and more better. But here's the thing though, I want to see this match again because Carmelo Hayes and Cameron Grimes, they essentially have the like their in-ring chemistry together. They are the type of guys that if you do a series of matches, you just know that their matches are going to be getting better and better and better. Now, there's not obviously, with the birth of NXT 2.0, we want to have two guys, I think, that you just know that when they're in the ring together, they're going to work well together, kind of have like an epic feud. And we need to start that with somebody. Who can we start that with? Carmelo Hayes and Cameron Grimes together, because together they work really, really well. They both work at a fast pace. Carmelo Hayes is able to essentially get all his agility into these matches, and Cameron Grimes can actually keep up with him, which adds to what they're doing in the ring. So for me, I really enjoyed this. But let's kind of talk a little bit more about what actually entailed all this too. So here's the thing. The NXT North American Championship bout has kind of been a little bit rocky in the terms that the last couple of champions that we have had, things haven't necessarily gone so great for them. The last champion was Isaiah Swerve Scott. Carmelo Hayes won the title from him. But poor Isaiah Swerve Scott, they forgot that he was NXT North American champion, and he never actually defended the championship until he defended against Carmelo Hayes and lost the belt. Okay, prior to that, we had Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed was kind of really just getting going as NXT North American champion, and that was quickly wiped away. We had Johnny Gargano, who was champion again, but he's been champion multiple times. Then prior to that, we had Leon Ruff, who was champion, and people didn't really take Leon Ruff seriously, so that really wasn't anything great. Then prior to that, we had Damian Priest, and again, Johnny Gargano, etc., right? But the last couple of champions, it hasn't been so. It could have been better, right, for all of those guys. So I will say that even though this is barely Carmelo Hayes' third defense as NXT North American champion, with comparing him to the last couple of champions, his reign is actually, so far the best, because the bar hasn't been set very high with the recent champions. So good for Carmelo Hayes. He has wins now against hold on, I wrote this down. Yeah, Pete Dunne, Johnny Gargano when he defeated them in a triple threat match, and Roderick Strong was his last title defense, and now he has another win over Cameron Grimes. So to me, Carmelo Hayes is starting to make his way into really becoming when we look towards NXT 2.0 in the future, and we start looking at guys that are going to start, defining this era of NXT 2.0, Carmelo Hayes is definitely going to be that person. All right, so let's see what else we got here. Anything else that I wanted to add to this? There was a moment actually, and it was when Trick kind of got involved during this match because he was trying to help out Carmelo Hayes, but it backfired, and this allowed Cameron Grimes to really pick up the momentum. There was a moment when he hit a crossbody and went for the pin. For that split second, I really thought there that they were going to give the title to to Cameron Grimes. I got really hyped up for it. It didn't happen, but I think it's best that it didn't. Either way, nice finish. We see Carmelo Hayes go to the top rope, hit the head scissors off the top rope, gets the win. Good stuff, man. This was a banger of a match, everybody. Let's go ahead and see what people are saying. Let's get some comments in here because we got some good comments here. And let's see what we got. This one is from King of Hueco Mundo, who says Carmelo needs more in-ring experience. Grimes was a highlight of the match. I don't want to discount Carmelo Hayes because I really thought that he did a good job in this. And obviously, being in the ring with with Cameron Grimes is going to help that. But I still thought that he was good, guys. He was good. Like Tony here says, Mello is money. Big Dog 1320 says that this was the match of the night. And this is a comment from Joelle, who wants to see it run back at Stand and Deliver, hopefully. Jeremy says, what of a best of 7 series? I don't know what they could do, but I will want to see this match more often. Jeremy points out that the title is cursed. Hopefully not. This is their chance to do something with the title. And from the looks of it, things are going so far so good for Carmelo Hayes. So far, so good. Joella Fernandez says the NXT North American Championship is getting elevated for sure. Carmelo Hayes is a great champion so far. He's bringing back the title back to life, so good for him. Justin Martin says, excellent match. Those two have great chemistry, both in the ring and character-wise. Hopefully, they'll meet again. Thank you so much to Justin Martin for also sending this in. Alrighty, everyone, let's continue on because we got a couple more things to talk about. So speaking of skits and new partners pairing up and women getting together to team up for the Dusty Cup, we are most likely going to be, it hasn't been made official, but we're probably going to be seeing Kaylee Ray and Io Shirai team up together because they both bonded over smashing things with Kaylee Ray's bat. And Zoe Stark and freaking Io Shirai have not been bonding whatsoever. So it's looking like it's going to be Kaylee Ray and Io Shirai together in the tournament. And now let's get into the men's Dusty Cup finals. We had MSK versus the Creed brother. What can I say other than this match was awesome, everybody? This was what you expected out of this. You had MSK going out there and doing all of their high-flying stuff, all of their spots, etc. But let me take a second here and put over Wesley. I want to put over Wesley here because I think that, we've been seeing MSK. They haven't had one bad match in NXT. They have legitimately been doing really good on NXT. But I think that Wesley today kind of really did a lot for his team in the sense that he was really the standout in this match. He was doing all of these crazy, athletic stuff, all of these high-flying maneuvers, one of which included like this corkscrew splash off the top rope, which was absolutely nuts. And there's more stuff that he did where I was kind of blown away by Wesley, like more so than I normally am. On top of that, so you have MSK, doing all their high-flying stuff, etc. But you have the Creed brothers essentially bringing in their power, their strength. And so you get this really nice, mashup in this match. And that's what I thought made it really, really enjoyable here today. So I kind of feel like they brought it to the next level. It was a really nice finale for the tournament. Overall, the tournament itself was pretty good. We got some good matches, but the finale was definitely the best one, as it should be. So I liked this, and now the Creed brothers are the official 2022 Dusty Cup Tournament Finals champions, and they are going to be getting a title shot against the champions in Imperium. And I think we're getting there, guys. I think we might be seeing the Creed brothers as NXT Tag Team Champions soon. And I'll just say this much. I want to see it happen because they've sold me on the Creed brothers since day one, actually. But yeah, I really like both of these teams. This was a good match. There was a lot of good stuff today, guys. Legit. Honestly, if you didn't watch NXT today and you're like, shit, do I want to give it a chance? This would probably be the show to watch. I can't tell you about the other shows, but this one would probably be the show to watch for sure. And, all right, let's get some thoughts here. This one's from Zeno, who says that this was the match of the night. Also pointing out that Zoe is now the third wheel. Sadly, she is. Joelle Fernandez says Malcolm Bivens with the never give up, flips towels, now you should. Freaking Malcolm Bivens, he's gold, man. He's gold, but that's nothing new. He's gold, man. That's all I got to say about that. All right, and let's go ahead and jump into some more awesome things to talk about here today. Nikita Lyons, we are officially going to be seeing her NXT debut next week. Woman of many talents, guys. We've seen her sing. We've seen her do her. Now she's dancing. Good for her. There's a moment where she said that the pleasure that she gets from doing dance routines and nailing the dance routine and basically beating somebody up is parallel with each other. And I just thought that's freaking awesome. So little known fact, I used to be on the dance team for 4 years. I was a dancer in high school. Lost all that now, but back in the day, being a dancer is incredibly hard. It's a lot, okay? You have to really nail down technique and your feet hurt all the time. You do so much exercising. It's crazy. I don't know how many people here have any experience with dancing, but it is hard stuff to do, okay? So when she said that, I really liked that one line just because I actually have experience in something, and that was dancing. And so for me, it's one of those things where I'm like, all right, I get it. This is cool. Anyways, I'm excited to see her debut next week on NXT. We got the Imperium promo, everyone. And this was a little bit of a rocky start. And this was my least favorite thing of the entire show. So I've really been putting over a lot of pretty much everything that we saw on today's NXT Vengeance Day. However, this was the one thing where I'm like, oh no. And unfortunately, it has to do with Walter, Gunther, whatever you want to call him. So Imperium's out there. And Walter corrects the pronunciation of his name, Gunther. Gunther. And the crowd starts chanting Walter. And they're like, Walter, Walter. And like, even though Gunther yelled at the announcer, at Alicia, for not saying the pronunciation of his name correctly, he didn't really say anything else. Like, that was just directed towards her for not pronouncing Gunther correctly. But when everybody's chanting Walter and Gunther is like, just, oh God, he's just standing there and he can't really say anything. Oh my God. It makes the name change even worse, everybody. And like, we all know the backstory to the name change. So that makes things like, things were already bad or looked bad, but it's kind of worse when you have the guy standing there and everybody's chanting Walter and he has to like sell the Gunther name and it makes him look like dumb. Like, he looks dumb just standing there, not being able to do or say anything about the fact that he's not Walter anymore and then he's Gunther. And I'm like, this is freaking Walter we're talking about. Like, this is some... This guy will freaking kill you with one chop shit. He might even kill me with one stare. You don't make him look like a dork just standing there while everybody's chanting Walter and there's nothing that he could really do or say. I mean, he could have probably played off of that and maybe said something, but it just didn't come across too well. And then on top of this, right afterwards, we have Solo Sikoa. Okay, so here's the thing. Imperium was basically saying they're going after, gold, etc., whatever, right? But here's the thing. So Solo Sikoa comes out and he challenges Walter. And I'm thinking, like, why? You just beat Boa. You beat Boa and that's it? You think you can go and challenge Walter now? That's not believable. It's not believable whatsoever. I'm like, what? Why would beating Boa make you think that you can now go and challenge Walter? Gunther. Someone explain that to me, because I didn't like this. This is the one thing where I'm like, nah, bro, pass. Let's see what we got here, guys. Tony says Gunther is going to get knocked out, Oos. No. King of Hueco Mundo says, yep, that was cringe. Devin says the fact that the whole crowd went against their prompted reactions is fun as fuck. And I get it. Like, the crowd is going to be chanting Walter, but they got to do something, because if he's just standing there not saying anything, it looks bad on him. Like, it's just like, what are you going to do? Like, can you imagine just standing there and you're like, well, everybody's chanting Walter. We know this controversial backstory. And I got to be here, like, just selling the name out of Gunther. Made him look bad. Guys. Jeremy Jimenez says Baby Oos has balls. That's the only explanation. He has balls. That is it. Justin Martin says that was kind of ridiculous. Walter should destroy Sikoa. He has. He should, excuse me. And if I don't even recall, and that was one of the things that we were talking about too, is like, or I was talking about in my past shows, that Solo Sikoa, his debut into NXT was not really anything to be, over the moon about. Yeah, he had wins, but he had wins over guys like Jeet Rama. He defeated Grayson Waller and LA Knight in a three-way. And keep in mind that Grayson Waller was on a losing streak, losing to everybody at that time. He defeated Andre Chase. Andre Chase is like, basically seen as a comedy goofball on NXT. He defeated Idris Inofi when he was like a nobody. Malik Blade when he was a nobody. Ru Feng, I don't even remember who that is. And his only big win is against Santos Escobar. And then Oh, sorry. Rufang was on 205 Live. Never mind. Ignore that. Okay. Then he defeated Boa. So I'm like, from there, you're going to Walter? How does that make any sense? Okay. That's it. Zeno Hour says he explained it. Solo wants the biggest dog on the yard. Solo is feeling too confident. He's going to get killed by Gunther. All right. Moving on from this. All right. Really quickly, let's get into what they promoted for next week. Next week, we are back on, regular, no longer on Sci-Fi. I'm back on USA. We are getting the Women's Dusty Cup tournament is officially beginning next week. I'm hoping, I don't think they've put out the bracket yet, unless they did it while I'm on this show right now, but I have not seen the bracket just yet. Nikita Lyons is going to be debuting next week, so that should be fun. Let's see what they do with her. Ellie Knight versus Grayson Waller will be seen, and then we'll also be seeing Tommaso Ciampa versus Dolph Ziggler. So that's really the big match, is really Tommaso Ciampa versus Dolph Ziggler. But now let's go ahead and get into the main event, which is Santos Escobar versus Bron Breakker. This was commercial free for the body of the match, and this was another good match, guys. Oh, I really enjoyed this one. I really, really enjoyed it. There was a moment. Okay, first of all, I'm skipping stuff. All right. Things that I personally really got a kick out in this match was just like the speed of Bron Breakker, which we've been seeing now on NXT. But there was a moment where he's like running the ropes, and then bam, epic clothesline on Santos Escobar. Literally, Escobar's body just like going places, like if he's, weighs 2 pounds. That was really nice. There was also a really nice dive from Santos Escobar to Bron Breakker. There was also a moment where Escobar kind of takes him to like the area with the steel steps and like smashes his head in a couple of times. That was cool too. I like that they let Santos be dominant in a big portion of this match. He kept calling them cabron, really getting in his face, saying this was his time. And I'm like, yeah, get it, Santos, get it. Afterwards, Breakker ends up getting like all of these rights in on Santos Escobar, finally getting the momentum back on his side. From here on out, this is where things kind of get even into another level here. We see both Mendoza and Wilde get involved here, and they get involved. They're trying to distract Bron Breakker, and Bron Breakker essentially takes them both out. Okay, cool, whatever. But then immediately afterwards, as soon as this happens, we see Elektra Lopez. She goes and she distracts the referee. And as she's doing this, Dolph Ziggler comes in and essentially super kicks Bron Breakker, and Santos Escobar goes for the pin right away. And I swear to God, I fell for it. I totally fell for this. I really, really thought for this hot second that Santos Escobar was going to become NXT champion. And I went into this match going like, we know Bron Breakker is going to win, right? Like nobody was expecting Santos Escobar to win. But in that one moment, I believed it. And I will tell you that when it didn't happen, I was so pissed. I was so mad. I was like, damn it. I really wanted to see it, surprise me, shock me. This would have been, I thought it would have been something interesting and unexpected. So I'm kind of bummed that they didn't go with it, because I did like the tease. I liked the tease. So they kind of depressed me there for like a hot second. But immediately afterwards, we see Ciampa come out. He grabs Dolph Ziggler. They end up, going at it all the way to the back. Santos hits a tornado DDT on Bron Breakker. Santos goes for the frog splash. He tries to go for the phantom driver. Bron Breakker gets out of all of that, ends up hitting his finisher, gets the win, and retains the championship. This was a banger of a match. Really showed that Santos Escobar belongs in this position, does a great job in this position. I liked his work with Bron Breakker. This was fun. I loved the incorporation of Dolph Ziggler getting involved, and all of that just really went with the story that they started telling since last week. So I liked this. It got my hopes up. It got me excited, and it was a good close to a pretty good show. Alrighty, guys, we got a super chat. Thank you so much to Cadillac Carson for sending this in. Cadillac Carson says, great great main event. When Ziggler hit that super kick on Bron Breakker, the crowd started to freak out. It was so amazing. Breakker and Escobar had a great match. They did, and I was along the lines of those people that were definitely freaking out. I think a lot of us would have been very, very surprised had that happened. It would have been an interesting one. And I think they could have done it. I think they could have done it with the way that they had Dolph Ziggler coming in and essentially costing Bron Breakker his defense. I think that it would have been, I would have liked it if they did it. Damn it. Now I'm mad that they did it. I'm really bummed out now. Thank you so much to Cadillac Carson for sending in this super chat. I really appreciate you. And we got people putting over Escobar, of course. He's great stuff. And let me see if I missed anything here. Jeremy Jimenez says, Bron is winning me over every match. Yeah, he won me over a long time ago, to be honest. I was on the Bron Breakker boat, like, I think from the very beginning. I got on, haven't gotten off. And we got a comment from Joel Fernandez that says Ciampa protecting Bron because he wants that rubber match for the NXT Championship soon. Yeah, I like that. This is what I like too. That, you know, there's so many times where we're like, oh, who's going to be next for the title? Who's going to be next for the title? Right now, it feels like with what they're doing recently, like I said, just, you know, last week they brought in Dolph Ziggler, and now they're doing this whole thing with Dolph Ziggler and Tommaso Ciampa. But both of these guys want the title. I like that there are people essentially in line for the title. I like that, you know, the champion has this big target on his back because all these people want to get their hands on the title. That's the way that it should be. They should be, you know, there should be a major target on the champion's back. Why the hell not? So there you go. Alrighty, everybody. That was the NXT 2.0 Vengeance Day. I hope that you guys enjoyed this post show. If you did, please help me spread the word. Give this video a like. Subscribe to F4W Online here on YouTube. And if not, you can also share the video. Share it on your preferred social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or whatever app that you're mostly on. Please share the video. Help me spread the word so we can get more people on here to watch. On top of that, make sure to come back tomorrow for AEW Dynamite. That's my most popular show of the week. And then I will be back on Friday for both SmackDown and AEW Rampage. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow night. Bye, everybody.